Welcome to Tibra's Den, everyone. My name is Whitney, and welcome to my Mythical Elements series. If you haven't seen the previous videos in the series, definitely check those out. There is a playlist linked in the description below. Basically, what I'm doing is the element challenge as occult sims, though. So each element is a different occult sim. And there is also kind of a yin and yang component to this, so there's going to be two sims for each of the elements, a male and a female, and they're kind of going to be opposite of each other. So basically, last week we did my water element, so we did mermaids for that, pretty obvious there. And then today we are doing the build for my air element. I created those guys on Monday, and they are aliens. And I did place them down in Evergreen Harbor. I thought that would be perfect for the air element, since that's kind of the basis of the pack, is to make things more eco, have a positive eco footprint, and just make things more green. Especially for my female sim, she's a green fiend, and she wants to clean up the air. She loves plants and just the benefit they have for the world. And since they are my air element, I really wanted to go with an arrow shaped build, but I did have a lot of trouble with this, trying to get it symmetric and then the roof right while still kind of giving that illusion of an arrow. And so at first I was just trying to put down a roof, any type of roof, which I'm horrible at anyway, especially with the odd shaped build. It is really hard. So I was trying to just put down a roof and make it work, and then I realized it didn't look like an arrow anymore, and I really wanted it to, so I ended up deleting those, and I tried to go with this style right here, which I actually really liked how this looked, but I couldn't get it even. For some reason, it wouldn't let me move the left side up, so it starts farther back, and I just was not happy with that. And even the walls, I couldn't get the windows to match on both sides, so I ended up scrapping the whole middle section. I fixed the tip there so that way it was symmetric on both sides, and then the base I was already happy with, and then so I kind of just went with like a zigzag pattern for the middle section. And I did like the shape I had at first, but like I said, I scrapped it many times, and I tried to get it to be symmetric, and I just was having too much difficulty with it, where I was able to get this how I wanted it, even though the shape's not quite what I was going for. Overall, I'm very happy with this, and I'm very happy with what I came up with for the roof. I know a lot of other people are so much better at building than I am, and probably could have come up with something a lot better than I did, but for me, what I came up with, I was pretty proud of, especially since I do have so much trouble doing roofs. And then I went with the solar panels tiles from Eco Lifestyle. Just, again, trying to keep things green. I ended up putting some wind turbines on top as well. Um, and then I put a bunch of plants and such down. I did all that off camera. I was actually doing this in the middle of the night. I had really bad insomnia, and I tried to go to sleep, and after 2 hours of trying to fall asleep, I figured if I'm not going to sleep, I might as well be doing something. And so the overall build actually took me probably about 6 hours, and doing the shell and the landscaping probably took like 3.5 to 4 hours of that. But I was really happy with it, because in the past I haven't spent a lot of time on landscaping. I don't have a whole lot of patience for it. And so just taking the time and really focusing on that, I was pretty pleased. And I used a lot of plants from Debug, from the alien world. I figured they would have probably brought that with them when they came down to the sim world, and so I have those on either side of the base of the house, and then the dancing maple tree, and then on that side I put a little garden for my female sim Breezy. I figured that's something she would have really liked to have. And so here I'm kind of coming up with my floor plan. I did the bedrooms at the back, so the tip of the arrow, and then in the middle I did a bathroom, and I end up doing like a little study nook across from the bathroom in one of the zigzag parts there. Um, with as awkward as that space was, I think I'm pretty pleased with what I came up with for it. I really did push myself on this build. Like I said in the past, I kind of just have done just like very, straightforward, plain builds. And so to really kind of push myself, which is the whole point of this channel, really, is to really push myself and try new things and get better at building and just do different things. And so this whole save file, if you haven't seen my previous videos, this whole save file is completely empty. I completely wiped out everything, and I'm just gonna fill it with all my builds and my sims from this channel. So I definitely hope you guys will follow along with me as I do that, and I hope it'll be a lot of fun, and I hope I will learn and improve and get new ideas and just kind of go with it. And so here I was doing the kitchen, and normally in my kitchens I either do an open concept with like a bar to separate the space, which would have been really perfect for this build, but like I said, I was really trying to kind of push myself and try different things. And so I ended up doing a half wall, and this was the middle of the night, so I was pretty tired. And at first I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get the cabinets to clip above the half wall. And finally it dawned on me I needed to do a full wall, place the cabinets down, and then I could replace it with a half wall. But it took me far longer to figure that out than it should have. And this is the only area where I really felt like I kind of let my impatience take over. That spindle, trying to find a column that matches is always impossible, it seems. So I don't normally use them, but I wanted to in this instance. And so I kind of just put down a column that I liked. I don't think it necessarily kind of goes with the spindles, but it is what it is, really. I was getting impatient with it, and that was something new I was trying anyway, and I just was kind of done with it. So, and the counters and the cabinets I actually got from, it's a custom content that I got from the Sims resource. So, again, I haven't really used custom content in the past, but when I was downloading stuff for Create a Sim to really make my elemental sims how I wanted them, I came across a lot of different items that I absolutely loved, and a lot of like farm items. And so these are from that same like genre. I think they might even be, I don't know honestly if they're from the same person or not. I found a lot of farm stuff, and I just like downloaded it all. And so those little planter signs and then the cabinets and such, and I found a whole lot more. And so eventually I think I'll probably do like a farm build. After I'm done with this series, I'm going to do Create a Sims and builds based on the seasons, and then the Rainbow Challenge, the Create a Sim Challenge that I think pretty much everyone has done. I'm going to do that as well. And then I'm going to do like different stereotypes. So I might do like a farm girl or farm boy stereotype and do a build that goes along with that, so I can use all that stuff that I got, all that custom content. So, but in this build, I was really just trying to go for anything that made me think either air or light or, just openness, maybe movement a little bit. And so I put like a bunch of the big windows. All the doors are glass, because I figured, they wouldn't want as much open and make it kind of look open and airy looking as much as possible. And so I really tried to go for that. And then just, I know everybody, I think I've watched, really struggles with the air element. It's so hard to kind of get it across. And so overall, like I said, I was just kind of trying to do like white colors and just as bright as possible, and anything that made me think movement or anything like that. So I think overall, though, personality wise, this definitely fits Breezy's personality more so than Stormy's. But also with Stormy's personality, I don't think he would care so much. Breezy would be more like the homemaker, and she's like really into baking and just making everything really homey. Where Stormy's not really gonna care all that much, but his personality does come across in the bedroom, I think. So that's kind of where his area to shine was his own bedroom. But like I said, he wouldn't necessarily care about the rest of the house anyway. And I think Breezy is definitely represents the air element a little bit more anyway, than he does. He kind of just does his own thing. And so if you haven't watched Monday's video, basically the backstory on these guys is he's very mischievous and he's hot-headed, and so he got into trouble all the time, and they ended up getting exiled from their planet and being sent to the Sim planet, and so now they're living here. And so at their planet, they were in uniforms, and everything was just kind of laid out for them, and they didn't really have any free will, essentially. And so now they're kind of here, and they're able to explore and kind of do what they want. And they really, like, Breezy's really fallen in love with baking and gardening and things like that. And then Stormy, I gave him the comedian career, and I figure, or the entertainment career, and eventually, go in and be a comedian. And I figured, that's something that he would really thrive in, because he is mischievous and kind of childish and silly. And so that's kind of where he's at. And then one of the little quirks I gave them is they don't like to wear shoes, and they love coffee. They absolutely love coffee. They've fallen in love with it. So I went and debug and put a bunch of clutter around, and I put a bunch of coffee mugs around. And you'll actually, I don't know if you can see them in the pictures or not, but there's a couple tables I ended up shrinking down, and because of that, I ended up, they ended up floating. So I shrunk the tables down and then put the mugs on, and I thought I had gotten them even on the table, but I don't know if I hit something and moved something, and they ended up floating. So I'll probably have to go back in and fix that. I haven't yet, but it's kind of was funny to see, and I don't know if I got them in the pictures or not, but doing my walkthrough, you can definitely see. And let me know if you prefer. In my water element build, I did the camera where it takes you through, I think it's first person camera or something like that. But I had a lot of trouble getting it to be smooth and even. And so in this one, all I did was screenshots. So definitely let me know what you guys prefer. The screenshots were a lot easier for me. And I think just getting the controls on the other camera is just something I would have to get used to. So it would definitely be pretty rough at first. But if that's something you prefer, I definitely don't mind, getting better at it. But it's definitely going to be something that's very rough at first. So let me know what you guys think. And here I ended up putting the cabinets underneath the TV. I had never done that before, but I've seen Evelyn do it all the time. And I think it was such a creative and good idea, and I love the way it looks, and I thought it would fit this build really well, so I ended up trying that, and I love how it turned out. And so at this point I had gone to bed and gotten back up and finished the rest of the house. So here I'm working on the bathroom. For the awkward space, I think I did a pretty good job with it. And I used the shower from University, which I don't normally use. Like I said, I did a lot of stuff in this build that I wouldn't normally do. So I used the shower from University and then just put up a divider. And I think that was probably the best case scenario for this bathroom, since it is so awkward. And I think I like how it turned out. And I put a little plant in the corner in there as well. Just kind of fill up the space a little bit. And then I did, the sink and the toilet, of course, and I did an ottoman. I figured Breezy would probably like to be in there drinking her coffee, getting ready in the morning, even though they really haven't discovered makeup or jewelry or anything like that yet. I figure she'd probably be in there taking her time. And this glyph, I really want the glyphs in each of the builds just to kind of tie them all together. And I swore there was an air one, but when I was back and looking for it, I couldn't find it. So I ended up using the leaf one. I figured that was the best one to kind of fit air overall if they didn't have an air one. So I ended up using that. But they did have the void critter decals. And so far in my mermaid water element build, I put those in ocean rooms. I put the water critter in ocean's room, and then in this bathroom I put the air one. So that was something they at least have as far as the elements go in the game. But I really wanted those glyphs, and I just, like I said, I couldn't find the air when I went back in, and I swore I had seen all the different elements, and maybe I was thinking leaf for air anyway, but I don't really know. But I'm still gonna put those in each of the builds, and probably the void critters as well somewhere in each of the builds, just kind of tie them together as part of the little series I'm doing. So, and here I'm just trying to find, like I said, it's such kind of an awkward space. So there's not a lot of space, but there's also too much space. So I was just trying to find things to kind of put in here, and ended up going with an ottoman. And then this is a little divider to divide the little shower area. So, and I haven't played test it yet. I'm thinking it will work, but I didn't actually play test it, so hopefully it does. I went in and I gave them their careers and such, but I didn't do anything past that. So I'm definitely going to have to go back in and play test it and make sure it works. And now I'm just trying to put little plants in the corners, just kind of fill up that awkward space a little bit. Like I said, plus Breezy would love plants and just the benefits that they give the air, and so I figured she would have plants like everywhere she could. But yeah, overall, like I said, I'm pretty pleased with how this bathroom turned out, and just all the detail I gave to this build overall, which, like I said, in the past I haven't done. I've just kind of done the basics and just what's functional for gameplay, and that's about it. And so here's the little void critter decals. I thought they were cute in there. And again, just trying to find stuff to put on the wall or clutter to fill up the space. And this, I was really excited for the Nifty Knitting Pack because I love knitting in real life, and I didn't actually use anything from it so far. The only thing I've used is these little hanging plants, so I'm at least getting a lot of use out of them. But I'm definitely going to eventually have to do a build where I like utilize the Nifty Knitting Pack, like maybe like a stereotypical grandma or something like that when I get to that point after I do this series. I'll have to see about doing a build that focuses on nifty knitting because I was so excited for it, and I love all the little overall aesthetic of it, but I haven't I haven't used it at all, which is kind of silly. But yeah, so that's my little bathroom. I think I'm gonna put down a laundry basket. And I didn't do a laundry room inside, but I did do the clothesline and the little laundry tub outside. Again, I figured that was something that would suit these guys really well, is if they were doing laundry, they would do it outside. And they probably want to be outside as much as possible, you know, especially once they do get the environment a little bit more eco-friendly and green. And clean up the air a little bit, they'll want to spend a lot of time outside. And so now I'm doing the little study Nook corner thing. And again, I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out, especially for as awkward as it is. I was originally going to put it in front of the window, but I needed something for this space, and I didn't really like the desk in front of the window. And I decided to try it here, and I actually love how it turned out. So I put a little light and a little plant. I don't remember, I think a couple simmers have said it, but when you don't know what to put there, just put a plant. Um, and so I'm definitely doing that a little bit more. I said in the past I would just leave it empty, but my builds have tended to look a little empty too. So again, I know I've said it multiple times in this video, but I'm really, really happy with how much detail I put into this build when I wouldn't have in the past. And it might not be the best compared to other people, but like I said, I'm really happy with it overall. Just everything that I did here. So I think I kind of like this one better than my mermaid build. The mermaid build, I did a lot of like the show live edit objects and the hidden objects to do like the outside, the surrounding area to kind of make it hidden. And I spent a lot of time on that, and I really like how that turned out. But as far as like the build itself, I kind of got impatient and bored, and I hadn't created the Sims yet, and so I didn't really have their personalities in mind yet. And so even though I like overall how that build turned out, and I did try, new things and different things, I don't think it's my favorite. Where this one, I kind of pushed myself a little bit more, and so far I like this one the best, and we'll see, once I do the rest, which one ends up being my favorite. But so far I definitely think this one's winning, and Breezy's definitely my favorite sim I've created so far. I just like, she's very homey and sweet and just kind of refreshing. And so I really like her personality. As far as all the sims I've created so far, she's definitely my favorite too. So I don't know. We'll see. Next week we're gonna be doing the vampires as Earth. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what I come up with for them. But and then the spellcasters for fire, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think that one's probably gonna be the easiest out of all of them, to get across kind of the element and what I'm going for. But now I'm gonna do their bedrooms, and originally I was gonna put Breezy on the other side so she could kind of look out on her garden, but for whatever reason, when I started to do their bedrooms, I started on this side and I wanted to do her first, and so this ended up being her bedroom, where I would have liked her, to be able to look out at her garden, but at this point, I put so much stuff in there, I'm not going to switch them around. And I think she would like this side anyway, being able to look out and watch the birds. I put the little bird feeders there, so I think she would like to be out there and watch the birds and whatnot. And maybe, watch the laundry and kind of see what's going on there as well, if she's inside and she has clothes on the line or anything like that. She probably would do that too. And then I put a little flower arranging table out there for her as well. I figured that's again something that she would be interested in. And so now I'm just trying to find like little stuff to fill up her room. And like I said, I ended up putting a little table, and I put a bunch of clutter items. So I put a bunch of cupcakes and coffee, because she would absolutely have fallen in love with coffee and just have it everywhere. And I put some cups in the bathroom and in the living room and in their bedrooms, and just anywhere I thought I could place a cup, I put a coffee cup for them. And I think that would be something that's really cute, and then just kind of fit their personalities and the kind of the characters that I came up with. And again, more plants for her because she's very into plants. And I do like a little wreath with flowers. I thought that worked really nicely for her. I think out of the two builds, I actually prefer the bedrooms in the other build. But like I said, I'm pretty pleased with how these turned out overall as far as like their personality and whatnot. And so here I wanted that little coat and hat thing, but then I had the pictures there and it just wasn't working, so I ended up getting rid of like the little planter and moved the picture over. And then I knew there was the hoses, and so I put hoses on each side, and that way she would be able to water all her plants. And so as I was coming across stuff, I was putting it down, and that way I wouldn't have to go back and find it. That's one of the things I have learned during my time doing The Sims is if you see something, put it down if you think you're going to use it, so you don't have to go back and find it later. Because otherwise, that's like sometimes you don't find it, and then you're all frustrated because you don't find it. So that's something I like to do. And then I thought she would like to have like a little bonsai plant in here to trim and take care of and nurture. Like I said, anything planty I put down for her. I was going to put down like a little pet, but at this point I was kind of getting tired and thought maybe like a little frog, but I didn't want to go back and find the frogs or anything like that. So I called it good on that. I figured the plants were enough for her. And maybe, I'll do some of the critters in a different build. I do have the fish in the mermaid build, but I figure the plants here would work just fine. So, and again, just trying to find like little wall items and such I could put up that I thought would fit her, and just anything to kind of fill up the space a little bit. I definitely need to get more custom content items for sure, for builds, because I don't think I have, especially the walls. I mean, there's only so much that they have, and with as many builds as I'm going to be doing, I want a little bit more options for that. And so now I'm putting down the coffee cups and I put down some cupcakes, and I put some cupcake stuff in the kitchen, so I did that, and then I did the pan as well. And I was going to put the pan in the sink, but when I placed it, it has cupcakes in it. And so I was like, well, that one doesn't work. You wouldn't put cupcakes in the sink. I thought it was just an empty pan, but it wasn't, so I put those down as well. I might have to get her the cupcake maker too eventually, but I think just baking overall, she would enjoy that. So, and yeah, just trying to find a little rug now. I have a hard time with rugs as well. The rugs I like, they never fit the space quite right, and then the ones that fit the space, I don't like. So it's really frustrating for me. And so now I'm working on Stormy's room, and I was just trying to go, I don't know what I was trying to go for at first, just kind of a little bit more simple than Breezy's, a little bit more straightforward, but I put like a little guitar and a microphone so he can practice his comedy skills, a little seating area, and I just went with like a bunch of posters for him. I figured he'd be really into like the different entertainment and entertainers and such, and so I put a bunch of those posters down for him as well, and just like I said, trying to find stuff that kind of fit his personality but still kind of fit the air element was difficult. And I found that little watering can, so I put that in. I figured, she might have been out watering, or for her indoor plants, have the watering can to water those, and just have it sitting there. So I thought that was cute. And now, like I said, just trying to find different posters. And I don't know why I put that poster up. I just liked it. So the little cat one, I thought it was cute, so I put it up there. I don't think it necessarily fits Air, but I think it does fit him, because he's very, like I said, kind of does his own thing and doesn't necessarily follow any rules or anything like that, which is what got him kicked off in the first place. But it's also what makes him, very unique and him, for sure. So I ended up doing this, and then I put like a little stereo. I figured he'd be really into music, and this little seating area, and just whatever kind of alternative, like unique vibes I could think of to put in there. And so now I put the little microphone so he could practice his comedian skills, and I put the little bunny bunny guitar because I figure, like I said, he's unique. He doesn't do the same thing. I don't normally use curtains, and I ended up putting them in this build just because those windows are so big, but I wanted to make sure the curtains were open so it still gave kind of that open feeling while still having curtains, so if they needed to close them for privacy or anything like that, it would work. But I still left a lot of it open as well. And back to his room. I said I do jump around a lot in my builds because as I find stuff, I like to use them. And here I put the magazines and end up putting a coffee cup, but it doesn't really work because I shrunk the table and so it wants to float. But that table, I've noticed with the end tables, they tend to be too big for the space. Seems like you almost have to shrink most of them down to make them kind of work for the space they're in, which is frustrating. They need more smaller. I speak good English. They need smaller options, I think, overall. But it's okay because you can shrink them down yourself. It just makes it hard to place items on there. And then I gave them a little TV and like a little video game thing as well. But I really like how his room turned out too. So I like the rooms on this build better. The personality in the rooms on this build better than my mermaid build, but the overall rooms on my mermaid build I like better, I think, just because I had the space for them, where this space was kind of awkward. But I wanted to go with the arrow build, so I had to sacrifice not having awkward space for a unique build. But I do like how it turned out overall. And I have the little bees there for Stormy, or Breezy rather. I figured she would want bees to help, with the environment as well, and the little sunflowers. And now I'm just finding like different items. So that was like bird seed, and then put that on her little flower arranging table. And now I'm just trying to find stuff for him. And like I said, anything that either made me think of air or aliens, but I ended up just going with stuff that made me think of his personality, kind of entertainment and just funky. He's kind of got a funky personality, I would say. And I sized them up so they fit. The only problem I had with were like they were glitching over each other, so I had to make sure, because I wanted them kind of overlapping, but then they glitch. So I made them so they were just touching each other. But I really first wanted them to kind of overlap. So this coffee cup ends up floating at the end. I thought I had it, but apparently I did not. Which is just the frustration of having to shrink down the tables. But again, like I said, overall I'm very, very happy with how this turned out and the different things I tried, which in the past I just wouldn't have had the patience for. So, and now just going through debug item, try to find anything that I could kind of put on his wall and fill up the space with, which didn't work out. I ended up having to go back to the decorations and finding some more stuff. So a little guitar picture and then a little band picture. Kind of almost teenage vibes for his room. Even though he's a young adult, I think they are both kind of a little immature. And so now here is the walkthrough, so I will leave you guys to it. I hope you enjoy this. And we will see you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye.